The only issue with Angel Reese's follow-up performance a few days after was a masterclass in missed shots. Some would even call it a bricklaying clinic. She just made the biggest threat in WNBA history. Pay me more, or I'll boycott the league.
It's like a greatest hits collection of missed layups. I can't even believe this is real. I just stumbled across of it. There's 2 different videos now floating around out there, and it's unbelievable.
Requesting money from Superstar on her podcast, depending on whose side of this comedy you're viewing, the timing couldn't have been more hilarious or worse. Reese went 5 for 13 in her next unmatched game, with one shot striking the bottom of the backboard. Let's take a closer look.
Because I'm hearing they don't give us, if y'all don't give us what we want, we sit out.
That's a possibility.
I guarantee you, the intelligent folks, and there are plenty in the WNBA, are saying, will you two idiots just shut up? Sit out.
Girl, y'all benefited from everything. Y'all youngins benefited from NIL.
What does that mean? We deserve more.
In a recent episode of her podcast, Angel Reese unabashedly sat down with fellow player Dee Carrington and made what may have been the most audacious ultimatum in WNBA history. She didn't merely suggest changes to the league's pay structure. She threatened to take her ball and go home if her demands weren't met. Have you ever wondered what would happen if a WNBA player threatened to shut down the entire league? Angel Reese did just that.
I love how y'all have selective hearing. I said I'm hearing if they don't give us what we want, we sitting out. And that's the truth. Good.
This is the same person that literally said she didn't know what her WNBA salary was and that it didn't even cover her.
When you take into account Ree's revelation about her $8,000 monthly rent, which equals $96,000 annually for housing alone, the financial disparity becomes even more obvious. Her entire WNBA salary would not even cover her flat for a full year, and it's likely that she receives additional revenue from her endorsement deals to support her lifestyle. This is the kind of tone deafness that isn't appealing to her fans.
I just hope y'all know, the WNBA don't pay my bills at all. I don't even think that pays one of my bills. Let me do the math real quick.
He might cover that. Yeah, it definitely covers that.
What is I don't even know my salary.
My resources this situation is especially intriguing because instead of backing down after her podcast remarks gained traction, Reese doubled down and used social media to reiterate her boycott threat, making it abundantly evident that this wasn't just podcast teasing and that she is actually willing to sit out if her financial demands aren't met.
No, my rent is more than that. It's $8,000. I'm living beyond my means.
Podcast, but this is where Ree's argument starts to go south. She specifically expressed her annoyance at the possibility that future rookies, like Juju Watkins, who will enter the league in 2026 or 2027, will make more money than she does. The players entering this season will still be under rookie contract, and the players who will receive more money the year after will most likely make more money than us. The allegation exposes a basic misinterpretation of WNBA contract operations, yet
Just threaten the lockout. If y'all don't give us what we want, we sitting out. This is why sometimes you probably should have somebody look over a podcast. She's threatening to go on strike. I actually understand it's the way negotiations work in the CBA, not on a podcast.
Reese signed a standard rookie scale contract that locked her in for 4 years until 2027. This is how collective bargaining agreements work in professional sports. So even if the WNBA negotiates a new CBA that increases rookie salaries, Reese would still be bound by the terms of her current contract. Her boycott threat essentially asked the league to rip up a legally binding agreement because she is unhappy with it now and will be envious of the new rookies under the new CBA.
But the women coming in, not this year, but next year.
Yeah.
The ones coming in this year will still be on the rookie contract again. Mm-hmm. The ones that the year after, they gonna get more. They probably gonna be making more than us.
Well, they are.
I'm
They
hurt.
are. Yeah. I've been in the meetings.
Otherwise, when you take into account the NBA's financial reality, this disconnect becomes even more problematic. The league lost over $40 million last season despite record attendance and viewership. The kind of mid-contract revision that seems to be required is just not supported by the economic foundation.
CBA.
Like if I'm an NBA owner, I didn't get rich by wasting a couple million on something that has no chance of making money. These two, sit out. See what happens. Now, I would miss watching the Fever. I would miss watching Caitlin Clark, but I wouldn't miss anything else.
Million annually. So when you make such audacious claims, you'd better have the performance to support them. This begs the crucial issue, though. Does Angel Reese's on-court production explains why a player who shoots 39% from the field and the poorest of all shoots within 5 feet of the hoop should be exempt from the same contractual terms as all other players in the league?
You lost 40, 50 million. You know who would clap for you all sitting out? The NBA. So they don't have to subsidize your dumbasses to the tune of 40 to 50 million.
Days after expressing her audacious compensation demands, Angel's very next game became what can only be characterized as a layup clinic, albeit not the kind that anyone would pay to attend, as if the basketball community wanted to directly address her UL. Angel Reese faced Aaliyah Boston's Vinyl Basketball Club on the league's best floor, and what happened next became viral on the internet for all the wrong reasons.
Vinyl as a club has not made a three-pointer. Gray's turnaround, no good. Vinyl third in the league in three-point field goals. Reese looks to stick with it, hands it back. Angel Reese, no.
Let's talk about that 5 for 13 shooting performance. Professional basketball players are expected to make layups. It's basketball 101. However, Angel appeared to forget the basics at the worst possible time. The most astounding moment occurred when one of her layup attempts somehow found its way to the bottom of the backboard, not the rim or the net. That's the kind of shot you'd expect from someone who has never touched a basketball before, not from someone who feels they should get paid more.
Angel Reese last night, once again, had one of the worst shooting games in the history of planet Earth. For what's supposed to be a big? I mean, what in the hell is going on here? I understand her team won. I get it. 5 of 13 from the field. 13 rebounds, 5 offensive rebounds, only 10 points.
The sequence was nearly agonizing to watch, with numerous attempts made right under the basket point blank range. Shots that players have practiced since elementary school, and for some reason they weren't falling. Instead, they were missing spectacularly, with one shot after another clanking off the rim or going completely missing. While defenders who...
This is the same player that just came out and said, if they don't pay them the bag in the WNBA, we sitting out. Quote, we sitting out. What? I mean, after seeing her miss routine layups over and over and over again, I'm like, how the hell can this person possibly be demanding more money from anyone?
As footage of these missed layups went viral, fans naturally had a field day on the internet, leaving sarcastic comments in their wake. Frequently showed up under videos of her bricks. People didn't hold back from calling Reese a bricklayer and casting doubt on her offensive abilities with remarks like, she is so overrated, and Reese is the only one I've seen make a layup look hard, guys.
Sykes lofts it up. Reese on the cleanup. Power dribble to separate.
Reese even managed to grab 2 offensive rebounds on some plays when she missed layups, which led some astute fans to wonder if she was purposefully missing shots to increase her rebounding numbers. Discuss a conspiracy theory that truly causes you to pause and consider.
Guys, how many times have I said she shouldn't be practicing no jumpers from nowhere? I mean, she ought to be just layup after layup after layup. Because let's be real, a lot of the heat she takes is because of this. And it's because it's not to be believed.
It would have been impossible to overlook the discrepancy between Ree's salary demands and her actual performance if the timing had been worse. Imagine going into your boss's office demanding a raise and then immediately failing at the most basic aspect of your job. It's crazy that some athletes may have trouble shooting but yet contribute in other ways that support higher compensation. It's difficult to argue that you're getting paid too little when you're missing point-blank layups that go to the backboard despite being an elite defense playmaking leader.
Say what you want about Angel Reese. You can't tell me she isn't the star of every show every time she's on the court. I can't even hate on this. She's Larry, Moe, and Curly all at once. The Three Stooges. I mean, wow. Come on. I think the worst part is Lisa Leslie risked her legacy and credibility coaching her with no visible improvement so far anyways. Good God. Laugh out loud. But she gets rebounds. She's threatening leagues over pay.
Speak loudly, but the TV ratings shout much louder. Angel Reese frequently talks about how important she is to women's basketball, but when attendance drops from over 300,000 to less than 100,000, perhaps it's time to work on those layups before requesting a larger salary.
And isn't she shooting like 35% from the field? Can somebody tell me who in the world watches a 35% shooter from the paint that is basically grabbing her own rebounds from her own missed shots?
Basketball performances speak volumes, but TV ratings scream even louder. Angel Reese keeps talking about her value to women's basketball. But when viewership plummets from more than 300,000 to below 100,000, maybe it's time to perfect those layups before demanding that bigger paycheck.
Angel Reese wants credit. The reason why WNBA is up is because of Angel Reese. She's not getting enough credit. She did this too. She taunted Caitlin Clark. She made this whole...
Now, let's discuss the elephant in the arena. In women's basketball, Angel Reese has established herself as a key figure, rising popularity. She's branded herself as must-see TV and a driving force behind the WNBA's recent surge in interest. The image she's cultivated through social media and press appearances suggests she believes fans are tuning in specifically to watch her play.
The reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person, it's because of me too, and I want y'all.
However, what happens if we gauge star power using actual audience numbers rather than Instagram followers or podcast downloads? Reese's self-evaluation is contradicted by the story of the unmatched league in which she currently plays. From a promising debut interest, the league has steadily nosedived to record lows under 100,000. This isn't just a slight dip, though. It's a free fall that suggests fans aren't rushing to their screens when Angel plays.
But her attention, her notoriety is based off Caitlin Clark. Because she wins the national title, first thing she does, she mocks Caitlin Clark. And then she doesn't even celebrate with her teammates. So she's made it personal with Caitlin Clark. Then she's played off it.
When your professional league game receives fewer viewers than a college game, it raises serious concerns about your alleged star power. The reality check becomes even more brutal when you learn that an unmatched game featuring Reese couldn't even outperform a college basketball matchup between UCLA and Nebraska on the Big Ten network.
Yes, it is unrivaled. It is also unwatched. Look, let's be honest. We can sugarcoat it all you want, but if you don't have Caitlin Clark playing women's basketball, or if you're not the NCAA tournament playing women's basketball, you got nothing. Zero zip.
This audience gap widens outside the unmatched league. WNBA attendance numbers show that Caitlin Clark games consistently attract larger crowds than Reese-led ones, and empty seats speak as loudly as Nielsen ratings, both of which are expressing the same thing about who is actually making the biggest impact in women's basketball.
Actually, if you really want to go into business, you need to pay some money back. You made absolutely nothing. You haven't really enhanced the league. Caitlin Clark has.
We have to be completely honest about this, whether we like it or not. 90% of this revived or renewed interest is really based around one singular.
Re-obsesses on wage demands and contract negotiations. Instead than claiming credit for the WNBA's expansion, Clark approaches her position in the league in a very different way. Clark shows sincere gratitude for the league's present course. I think the WNBA is at a very amazing place right now, and I think most people wouldn't think it's.
I mean, I'm not huge on comparing the WNBA to the NBA. I don't really think that's fair. Obviously, I think where the WNBA is right now is pretty incredible. I think a lot of people, or most people, would not believe it's in the place that it is right now. So I think when people always ask me this question, where I think it'll be in 5 years, is it's hard for me to answer because people didn't even think we'd be right here right now. And I think really sky's the limit. I think when you see, our TV numbers when we're on, national television, we're averaging over 1 million viewers or whatever it is. The All-Star game, I think, was over 4 million viewers. Like, it's just really great numbers. So the more opportunities we're given, I think the more it's going to shine and get better and better. I think also the talent level in college is continuing to get a lot better as those players come into the league. And it's going to continue to improve. We're adding 2 new teams next year, and then probably another team year after that.
Some more games.
Yeah, more games, which I think will be good. It will lengthen the season a little bit more.
Observe the variation. While one player threatens to boycott, the other focuses on improvement. And when one person makes ultimatums, the other thanks them. According to reports, Clark is spending her off-season preparing for her sophomore campaign and changing her appearance. She is working hard to improve her game rather than raising her demands for attention. This comparison of methods shows 2 very different perspectives on professional sports. One player feels that her worth stems from her perceived star power and that she should be paid appropriately regardless of her performance, while the other understands that true value comes from persistent improvement, real contributions to the team's success, and ongoing improvement.
If I was funding this league, I'd say, all right, hold on. You got a golden goose. We all got one in Caitlin Clark. These people that are criticizing Caitlin Clark, these people that are hitting Caitlin Clark, these people that are talking as if they are as important as Caitlin Clark are hurting our opportunity. They're hurting.
If I were funding this league, I would say, all right, hold on, you got a golden goose. We all have one in Caitlin Clark. Those who are disparaging her, hitting her, and acting as though they are just as significant as Caitlin Clark are harming the brand and our opportunity.
I will continue to use my voice to speak for what we want and deserve as a league. Thank you. No, that's not what you did. You said me, I. They're going to get more than us. I deserve more, blah, blah, blah. Oh, shut up.
The real tale of women's basketball development begins seeing us face-to-face with hard data. One expert openly stated that if I were an NBA owner, I would regret seeing the Fever and Caitlin Clark, but I wouldn't miss anything else. This is in contrast to another player who quietly attracts record crowds and viewership while loudly demanding more money with ultimatums. This sentiment accurately depicts the situation. Compared to rivals who assert comparable significance to the league's success, Clark's influence towers, social media demands, and podcast threats are not the only obstacles in the way of women's basketball's progress. It is constructed using the same level of craftsmanship and genuineness that fills arenas. The difference between content and show, humility and entitlement, is startling. The numbers are clear and show who is responsible for this new wave of women's basketball fans who see real value and are casting their votes through their attendance and ticket purchases. Is it likely that Reese will ever change? Please click the video on the screen, leave a comment saying subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you don't miss anything. We'll see you in the next one.